Good morning.
Hey, welcome.
Motobucks in the morning. It's so early.
It
I know
is.
that everybody wants to talk about car stuff right now. I know I do. I wake up in the morning and I'm just like, I can't wait to talk about car stuff.
Especially on Monday, the
Right?
best day of the week to.
So over the week, a couple things happened to us. One, we went to a dealer auction just to kind of see what's going on with dealer auctions and what that all entails. And so we found out we bought a couple cars that were represented as running and driving cars that we thought have no issues. So at the dealer auction, Dave found out that you cannot bring a
Scan tool.
So we can't see, you can't plug in the scan tool
and
to see
most of
what is going on with the car prior to buying the car. So just because the check engine light is not on, it does not mean that that they don't have codes pending for that car. And we found that out because Dave bought a couple cars, and one of them, no check engine lights, car runs and drives. But we find out that there's codes pending for some transmission issues, which is always costly. Anytime it's transmission, it always costs extra.
Yeah. Well, not to mention the fact we also found out that they don't test the cars either. So
which is very
when it comes
typical.
to mechanical, yeah, it's very, very different than Motobucks. We're finding Motobucks to be a very much happier place when it comes to buying cars
A lot
because
safer.
you have to disclose what's wrong with the car, and in these situations you do not. And apparently, that's in the contract, so you got to really watch out for that. But speaking of the dealer auctions and cars that are showed up there because of insurance, we had an interesting account this week. I guess Ray got smashed.
I got smashed.
Not drunk.
I wasn't. Yeah, not that kind of smashed. That's a good kind of smashed. No, we were delivering a car on the tow dolly, and a gentleman, and we're going to use that term loosely, came from the other direction and smashed right into the car that we have on the tow dolly. And totaled it.
Which was 2 days away from
Super
sale.
smashed. Yeah, it was,
Ready
very
to
close.
be sold.
It was a very nice. I wish I could put the pictures on.
Just imagine a very beautiful Volvo, and that's what the car looks like. One that you would want to drive right away.
Imagine that. That's what the van looked like that smashed into me. Oh, we can do pictures on it.
Oh yeah, look at that.
And it was kind of crazy. And I'm going to show you what happened to my poor Volvo. Hopefully. Dun dun dun! She smashed. He smashed my tow dolly in half.
Yeah. So there's actually probably a good chance that will end up at Copart, I would think. The same auction.
That will end up at the insurance auto auction.
The insurance auto auction, that's right. Okay. For broken cars.
For cars that are bought by insurance companies, and so there's an auction called an insurance auto auction. It's a dealer-only auction. And that car will probably just be sold for its motor. The frame super bent. There's no bringing that one back. Mm-hmm. But we found out that it's good to have insurance, and basically it's probably going to turn into a good situation. We didn't get hurt, me and driver, excuse me, and so that was a good benefit. But as far as the dealer only auctions or the dealer auctions or even a public auction, you just have to be very, very careful when you're buying things because there's always something hidden. And what I was telling Dave before is why on earth would a dealer, bring a car to an auction just to get rid of it when they could get retail on the street? And it's the same reason for Motobucks. there's something wrong with this car. The difference between Motobucks and the auctions are the auction's trying to hide as much as humanly possible because there's no money back guarantee, we found out. You know, if you buy that car, you bought it, and we don't care. And so the one we got very lucky on had a blown head gasket, said it ran and drove, and I mean we started it for a split second, but you know it was very hard to start and was just crappy, and luckily it didn't start again, because if it did we would have had to buy that car, and most likely we would have had probably about $1,000 to put into that car, and we paid like $700 or $800 for the car, so it would have just took it way on the other side. Where in Motobucks, if you get to a car and you're like, man, this car is just not what they said it was going to be, then you can walk. And not only can you walk, we're going to give you your money back.
Well,
so if the guy says, hey, my car is a complete piece of crap, the head glass gets blown, it's got this issue, this issue, this issue, and you say, that's the car for me. And then you show up and it's the exact piece of crap that you thought you were going to buy, then everybody's good. But if they say, hey, this or that, or they try to hide something, this or whatever it is, and you get there and it's something totally different, then you get your money back. And I don't think that there are any auctions like that where you can buy cars, even in, situations where we know we're going to have to fix them, where you're protected. And we have 100% buyer satisfaction. And so no matter what car you buy, if it's not as described, then you can get your money back and not buy the car. If you do buy the car, you're going to be happy because you're going to know that it is what it is. And sometimes there's going to be some little tiny thing hidden here or there. That's the nature of the beast. Maybe a window doesn't work or some kind of minor thing. But at least you know that if you get there and there's some mechanical major stuff done that you didn't account for, then you can just say, hey, look, I'm not buying this car. And we do it all the time. We get to cars and we offer somebody some money, and then we get there and
it's not like as described. They don't tell you everything.
Like the guy with the Mercedes.
Yeah.
He took pictures of the car before it was smashed in the back. And then when I got there, he was begging me to take the car because it was smashed in the back. Not a lot, but enough to where we couldn't, justify the profit on the car. So we passed on the car, and he's going to have the burden of selling again. But if he would have marked everything properly and he would have sold the car, then somebody would have known what was going on, and everything would have been great. He would have sold the car that day.
And this is, and just to clarify, this is a purchase that happened on Motobucks, where we actually went out to the car, and it was not the first one that actually came up that way. So in our experience buying from Motobucks ourselves, it seems like people are honest and forthcoming about what's wrong with their car. But in this situation, for whatever, who knows what reason, he put pictures before the damage had been done on the car, which was, not a smart play. It's just a waste of time for everybody.
Don't fall for the okie doke.
Right.
And you don't have to fall for the okie doke either. You're protected on Motobucks.
Yeah. So I mean, a lot of the the way that Motobucks is put together is based off of really our own car buying experience, because it's all the things that come as surprise to us, things like that, things like the picture. Why is somebody gonna have to pay for something that's not as advertised? I don't know that anywhere where that's done, really.
No.
So, and I see we got a few people on. Does anybody have any questions? Any car related questions?
Anything at all?
Anything they'd like us to answer?
The best air freshener to use? How do we get the stain out of my carpet? What happens if my car doesn't pass smog?
Yeah, we're open for any car related question.
What does this mean? Clack, 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 clack. Anything at all whatsoever that you want to ask, we can pretty much find you the answer to it.
Yeah.
I think we scared that person.
I think we scared several people. What was that clack, clack, clack thing?
The clack, clack, clack. That was a rod knock.
All right. Okay. So now we know what a rod knock sounds like. And I
like,
see we got a few more people on. Does anybody else have
it's
any?
just a tick, 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 tick sound. Not good.
All right. Well, speaking of, now you got on the carpet thing. Now I want to know, man, how do you get the stain out of your carpet?
If it's a grease stain, you use degreaser. And if it's a coffee stain, you just use soap.
And pray.
No, the coffee will come out.
Coffee will come out, but maybe not the stench. We'll have to use some air fresheners for that. But so what do you think will happen to the car then? It's probably going to go to insurance auction. Is that what goes on? I guess we're going to find out. We'll be able to discuss that in a future show. What happens when your car on a trailer being towed behind you gets smashed?
I want to add one other thing too.
Yeah, go ahead.
So this always happens. And I've always been on the other side. I'm a very aggressive driver. And I probably should have been in a lot of other accidents, but I have not been. So this was the first accident where I've actually been in the accident. But most of the times it's people calling me, asking me advice on, hey, I just got into an accident. And I've literally been called, I don't know how many times, at the scene of an accident. What do I do? So here's some advice for you. If you get into an accident, this is what you do. One, you always have the right to have your car towed or not have your car towed. It all depends on what you are doing and if you have the room. But for me, I always have the car towed by my tower, not by whatever tow company shows up, because they're going to charge you a lot of money. So they're going to charge you probably, a couple $100 to $300 just to tow the car. And then they're going to charge you per day for storage. If it's sitting at your house, you can cover the thing up. It can sit there, and you're not going to be charged any money. And in this town and most towns, you could usually get a tow truck for $50 to $100. We paid $60 to get our car towed, and it was very smashed. But we take it back to the house. We put it on, jack stands. We cover it up. That way, when the insurance adjuster comes out, they can do it at my leisure. They don't have to have an appointment to get in and out of a tow yard, things of that nature. And another thing about tow yards that you don't know is that you can only visit your car one time. If you want to go back in to visit that car, you have to pay like $40 to $60 just to go and see your own car. So if it's at your house, you can do whatever you need to do to the car. You can have people come and look at it. Maybe the car's repairable. Maybe the car's not repairable. So when the car is repairable, the car still runs and drives. Maybe it has some dents or maybe it got hit a little bit in the front. And now you can have that car repaired if you needed to, and you can keep driving the car. So another option that the insurance companies give you that a lot of people don't know about is if your car is involved in an accident and they total the car out, meaning that they're going to give you what the car's value is. One, you look on Kelley Blue Book or NADA and you find out what this car is worth first, so you can negotiate with the insurance companies. And then another thing too is that they give you two options. Mostly they're just going to say, hey, we're offering you this much for your car. But the other option is always, say the car, like we have a car, our car's worth $3,500. So they say, okay, we're going to give you $3,500, or if you want to keep the car, we're going to give you $3,200 and you get to keep the car. So I could keep the car, it's probably worth $1,000 for a couple $100. And you also have to make sure that this makes sense. And I probably wouldn't recommend it unless the car is running and driving. Like if the car still runs and drives and they total it out, and you could get that car for, for a fraction of what it's worth, you can either even sell the car the way it is to somebody that fixes cars like we do, or you could fix it yourself. You could take it to a body shop or whatever it is, and and then get that. So just ran into a lady the other day. She was traveling up in Washington, and they had a hailstorm, and it just hail damaged her car all over the place. And the damage they said was $8,500, but they let her have her car back for $4,000. So what she did was she took $4,000 from the insurance company, kept her car. So she had a dented up car a little bit, but then she took it to a body shop and got the dents fixed, which I'm sure they didn't charge her $8,000 to fix some hail dents. Maybe she spent $1,000, and if she did, then she just got $3,000, and she gets to keep her car.
Was that considered total? Did they total the car with the hail?
They did total the car. They totaled the car because the car value. It's so if the damage exceeds 75%, I think it is. I don't know what the actual percentage is, but if it's a certain percentage over what the car's worth, they just buy the car out because they don't want to be liable for something. If the repair didn't go right or whatever it is, it's a thin margin. So they'll just go, okay, we're just going to pay you what the car's worth, and we're going to take the car. And in this situation, the woman wanted to keep the car because it was perfect. It just literally had dents this big.
Didn't affect the
driving.
driving.
All the hood, no.
Right.
And the roof and the trunk of the car. The sides of the car were fine. So she bought a new trunk lid and bought a new, or she had it, bondoed and repainted. Then the cars, nobody would really tell that you ever had dents. And so this is something that people don't know about that you can take advantage of. And you know what? If you can't be bothered with it, and you just don't want any headaches, and you have very good insurance, then maybe you just want to let the guys tow the car away, let it go to the insurance auto auction. You deal with your insurance company, you get paid, you go get another car, everything's great. Well, but there's another option behind there that people don't know about that is kind of the secret sauce about what we do sometimes, to where we benefit from even a crappy situation. I'm definitely going to see what the options are when the dust settles, and see if I'm going to buy that car back. If they give me the car for maybe $100 or $200, maybe I'm going to keep the car because the drivetrain is perfect, and I know that I could sell that car. I'm almost confident that the car will run and drive. Or not run and drive, but start and run.
Run, yeah.
So maybe the engine's worth $300, $400, $500, whatever it is, or I just let them come and get it with a tow truck, depending on how much they deem that the car is worth, and then how much it is worth in its condition.
Really know, yeah, and that's that's a good thing to know, because my brother went through the same thing. My brother had a car totaled, and it was a newer, nicer car, a Nissan Xterra, and he was halfway across the country when it happened, and they don't really. For him, it was better just to send the car off and off to the insurance auction it goes, basically. But it wasn't until the very end that he even realized that there was a buyout option, because they don't make that very apparent, especially
Not usually.
I think you literally have to ask about it. So if you do know somebody or who's been in an accident, or like I said, the way that they total cars. I mean, if you're going to total a car with hail damage, the thing runs and drives perfect, right?
She could have just drove it like that. She could have just drove it with dents on it. But I mean, it had a lot of dents. But and this wasn't, it was a woman. She was probably, I don't know, 60 to 65 years old. And she figured it out. It doesn't take a lot. It's just, estimates here or there. You do the math. It either works or it doesn't work. If something's that close, then just probably stay away from it. But if it's a no-brainer, because a girlfriend of mine, her sister was driving her sports car and smashed the phone pole down. And the sports car was worth pretty good money, even with the damage that it had, and bought it back. She was able to double dip. And so she got good money for the car. She bought the car back for little or nothing, I thought, and also was able to resell the car and still make like $500-600 reselling her smashed car. Which, look, money doesn't grow on trees. You know, any little bit of thing here and there. Like, to me, if it's $100, I'm not going to waste my time with it. But if it's $500 to $1,000, and it's just, you know, selling a damaged car, I'm probably going to jump all over it and sell the car and put the money in my pocket and have a huge smile on my face for a week.
Yeah, or thousands. I mean, I had another example of this. Is a friend of mine's aunt had wrecked her car, had got hit by another car, and the damage was considered totaled. But in all reality, it was just needed like some new rotors and some suspension stuff on the passenger side. And I think she got the car for a few $100s, and I think it was maybe a few hundred more for the repairs. Then you have to go through, you get a rebuilt title, which is it's a little process, but it's nothing too concerning. And then that's it. Now she's got her car back worth, several $1,000s, and all for, $400 or $500. It's not something to frown over. I mean, it's a good way to get more value out of your car if the insurance company does consider it gone.
Capitalize. And that's what Motobucks is all about. It's about capitalizing, about taking somebody's misfortunes, or they don't know what's going on, and basically you do. And so you can buy these cars, and a lot of cars on here, they don't really have much wrong with them at all. And we've been buying cars here for about 10 years, and most of the times it's just very small things. If it's a big thing, we pass on it, but if it's a small thing and it makes sense, we've been driving them. I bought a Mercedes-Benz, an S500 from a shop. They told the lady she needed $5,000 worth of work, and I bought the car for $900. I drove that car around for probably 3 years, and it was one of the best cars I ever had. It was a really, really nice car, and it needed a $100 part. It was a tie rod. I put the tie rod in my garage in like 30 minutes. And it was driving that car for 3 years.
That was a salvage title?
That was not a salvage title. No, the woman just hit a parking block, and she broke a small piece of her suspension. It was very easy. I put it together in like 30 minutes. I drove the car, and then I sold the car for like $4,500. And so maybe I had, all together, maybe even with gas and everything, maybe I had, $2,000 into the car, later, because I did other things to it, tires, that kind of stuff. But I drove for 3 years, and I still made like $2,000, maybe $2,500 off that car. Sure. So there's a lot of cars that are on Motobucks and that are cash for cars that people they're not mechanically inclined. They don't know what's going on with cars. They don't know how to flip things, and they're just literally giving things away. The kick-ass thing about Motobucks is you never know when they're coming or how they're coming. So to just stay on there and stay logged in, we buy them off there. I check it all the time, and I buy cars all the time off there. It's hard not to, and we profit from it. So mostly it's cars that they have very minor things, a catalytic converter, that sort of thing, where they can't shut the light off. And so they can't get it registered, and they get frustrated, and they don't know what's going on. They don't know anybody here in this town. But you guys know people in this town, because you know me and Dave. We've been doing this for 10 years here. We know everybody here. We know people that do engines, transmissions, like tires, brakes, smog, whatever the best thing is. We know the cheapest way to get things done, and we know people that aren't full of crap, that do a great job, and that give you a fair shake in this town. And that's something that you can't find. And that's why we created the show, so the good people could log in, ask us any kind of car question you could possibly ask us, and have the best result of what's going forward. So look, you buy a car off of Motobucks, and then you come on here and you're like, hey, like the wheel bearing is bad. And we're like, okay, that's simple. Do this and this. Bam, car's fixed. You're driving it. You're super happy. And maybe you get a car that you can drive for a very long time. A friend of mine's dad bought a car from a neighbor for $500. It has 200,000 miles on it. It's a 2000 Mazda Protege. And she called me over and said, hey, can you please check the car? I can't believe my dad bought this car. I think it needs a timing belt. So I came over. The car's perfect. The car was super clean. Everything. Dad made an awesome buy on that car. I checked a few things out on it, the antifreeze, checked how the car was running, the oil, that sort of thing, and the car was awesome. And so what it turned out was the lady said, it's time for a timing belt. So every 60 to 80,000 miles, you want to put a timing belt on a car that needs a timing belt. They're made out of rubber, and they go bad. So it's probably a $300 thing with labor and materials. But I said, car doesn't need a timing belt. It just needs a new buyer. So they're going to flip that car, and it needed a catalytic converter, had a code. It's like $180 installed. We got a guy. And so they'll probably have like $700 into this car, and it's worth $1,500 all day. So they were pretty happy after I came and looked at the car. And so you guys you have us right here. You have 10 years, and me, I've literally been working on cars since I was 8 years old. I'm 49 years old. So do the math on how much experience I have and how many times I've bumped my head and said I'm not doing that again to find the right ways to do things, And so that's a huge benefit for everybody that's listening to Motobucks, and that's why we're here every single Monday morning, and to answer anything you got. And I'm sure in Las Vegas, where there's 400 plus accidents a day, that you guys probably have some car questions.
Yet no one asks.
Look at it pouring in. Look at all
Yet no one is asking. So, and that's okay, because we're just going to keep spitting knowledge at you until you do something. And while we're at it too, I just want to give a quick shout out to all the actual car buyers on Motobucks, because I have noticed a real core group of people that are constantly looking at the deals. They're buying the cars up. Half these cars you're probably not even seeing because they go so quickly with the people that are actually looking for the good deals coming in. So thank you. They get snapped up quick. And
you gotta act fast.
Yeah. I mean, when we literally take a cash for car phone call, convert it right onto our website. So we're literally taking our bread and butter, our main course, so to speak, and we're now dishing it up to everybody here in Las Vegas. And I just really want to thank
it's yours for the
people.
taking.
Thank
for
you.
sure. Make some money doing this, or else get a good car to drive around like we did. It's an amazing thing. People that have been searching on Craigslist and all this kind of stuff for the deals that we just have all the time, constantly. And another great thing about buying from Motobucks is there's no tax, from people that are selling person to person. Las Vegas is a city, one of them, no sales tax. So you could literally buy a $20,000 car and pay $20,000 for it and have zero tax. Mm-hmm. And so here it makes it a lot more cost effective, because when you're buying a car, you're just buying the car. So if it's a $200 car, it's a $200 car. And a title, it costs $25 to get at the DMV. And I think next Monday, I'm going to go through titles with you, lost title, out-of-state titles, salvage titles, all these kind of things where people are kind of afraid of titles. And it's probably one of the most title-friendly states besides Arizona, where you can literally walk in and walk out with a title in Arizona. So, but here, it's almost the same. Some people think that they can only get a title, in 6 to 8 weeks, but we know how long can we get a title?
I went in Friday afternoon after the DMV closed, so I was the last one in there, and expedited title. I'm going to have it tomorrow morning. So literally, and it would have been here quicker. It's just the weekend, messed that up.
I've literally gotten them in 2 days. 2 days.
That's what it takes.
I go in the DMV, and then 2 days later, and it's coming from Carson City. 2 days later in my mailbox, and they FedEx a title to you. So say you're in a pinch, you got to get rid of your car, whatever it is, and you're like, oh my God, I lost my title. We're going to go through all that next week, and we're going to explain every single thing about a title. I'm going to show you a title. I'm going to show you the back of a title. I'm going to tell you what to do, what not to do. Some people really screw themselves because they don't pay attention, and then you fill the stupid title out wrong. I mean, name of seller, signature of seller. They screw that up. And so sometimes when you do that, There's other documents that you have to do, and just so you know, you write on a title wrong, title's void, gone. So we're going to go through all that next week. But for this week, very happy that you guys stopped by. And I think over time, you find that it's a huge benefit to pick our brains and to see what's going on with your car and, a car that you might be buying. And it doesn't have to be off of Motobucks. It could be any car, anytime. And so we appreciate you guys stopping by. And we're signing off. We'll see you next week.
All right, guys.
We got to go fix some more cars and make some more money.
See you next
Take
Monday.
it easy, guys.
And
Thumbs up.
And put your car on Motobucks. We want to buy it. Hurry up. We're running out of cars. We need more.
We need Facebook friends. Thumbs up.